Hi Jay,
Hi,
how
Maria.
are
How are you?
you?
I'm doing well,
Good,
thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah. How are you doing in LA? All good?
All great. All great in
Yeah,
LA. Yes, thank you.
brilliant. Thanks for joining. We are
Mhm.
waiting for more panelists, I think. Hopefully
Yeah,
they'll
I expect a
join
couple
further
more
on.
people. Things are busy. I
Yeah.
can tell you, I'm getting a lot of calls this week. I think after the first couple weeks of the month, people have gotten back into the swing of things from the holidays, and now starting to talk about what projects to tackle in the new year. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
I
How are
saw
you? How's things in the
projects.
UK?
Oh, well, fantastic. Thank you.
Okay,
We
good.
started full time on the 4th, and several projects are already quite into gear. So, the
Okay.
UK, France, Spain, Germany, we are on track with the new project. So, I saw projects have been in huge demand, in very high
Yeah.
demand.
Mm.
Mm, Always since the pandemic started, we're about to publish our latest white paper.
Oh, good.
Maybe in a
Good.
couple of weeks, it's gonna be released. Interesting stats.
Good. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great to hear. So yeah, that's a good segue into what we wanted to do with this discussion today. We've done a lot of these, and we've talked about individual ISO standards, 9001, 27001, whatnot. Um, what I wanted to do was have a discussion about for people who already have implemented ISO, and are they getting the value out of it that they hoped, or are they getting enough value out of it? So let me start with an anecdotal example. Do you know what Peloton is? Do you guys have Peloton over in the
Yes,
UK?
yeah, we
Okay.
do.
So imagine, your friend bought a Peloton at the beginning of the pandemic because they
Hmm.
couldn't go to the gym anymore. And then you ask them and you say, well, hey, how do you like your Peloton? Are you getting enough out of it? Like, and they say, nah, I don't really see the
Mm,
value in it. Right. And then you say, well, how often do you ride it? Well, I don't. Oh, well, is that Peloton's fault? Or is that the person not using the tool they bought correctly or the right way, right? So take that and apply it to an ISO standard. And we've seen this, and I'm sure you're a very experienced assessor and implementer for us, so you've probably seen many examples of this where a client implements, does all the work. And congratulations, by the way, to anyone out there that has gotten their ISO, whether it was through us or someone else, hopefully through us. That's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort, and you should be really proud of yourselves for doing that. However, we do know there are people that do it because they had to. Their client
yeah.
demanded it, the government demanded it, whatnot. It's a ticky box exercise. Just check the box, do it, scramble around once a year for the audit, like, oh, I got to get my audit in, and then ignore it the rest of the time. And then they say, I don't see the value. Have you seen those before?
Yes, we used to see it quite a lot before the pandemic.
Ah,
Interestingly, ever since the pandemic started, with this need for optimization of resources, people on sick leave, people in hospital, difficulties, operational difficulties, organizations started using the tools they already had implemented, including
mm,
ISO standards.
that's great.
Basically, because, yeah, it helps out with operations,
Hmm.
with optimization. So, there is a very increased interest in implementing ISOs.
Hmm.
We've doubled the interest registered.
Wow,
You'll
that's
see it.
fantastic.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
literally doubled. And there is further demand for integrated systems.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
meaning if a company already operates a compliant or a system in conformity with 9001, which is the most common standard, as you know,
Sure.
quality
Yeah.
management. These organizations look for further possibility to improve their operations, so they add a standard that fits to what they do. For
Okay.
instance, blockchain.
Uh-huh.
After 27001,
Right.
we got several new customers on board the last few
Uh-huh.
months. Small companies.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Interesting.
Because, many organizations think that ISO standards are meant to cover big, sizable companies. And
Right.
now, yeah, that's we have been trying to tell them that it is not quite true. ISO standards are meant
Hmm.
to cover any company that
Sure.
might need them. And now the most obvious illustration, that's exactly blockchain companies,
Hmm.
because they're usually small companies
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Absolutely.
operate huge amounts of data,
Right. Right.
and then
Yeah.
they
That's good to
need
know.
the relevant coverage.
Okay. Good. So let me ask you this: in companies that you've helped implement or audited, whatnot, who, generally speaking, who runs their ISO system? Whose plate does that fall on?
Well, thank you for this question. That would be the organization itself.
Hmm.
Every single person within the organization should be aware of their importance to the system, and the responsibility for the overall performance lays with top management. It doesn't mean that top management must be 100% involved with the technical side of the implementation or certification, but an ISO compliant management system always requires uh, their full attention, commitment, and leadership.
Right. Okay.
So,
That's fair.
clause 5 in all
Hmm.
standards is entitled leadership. So,
Mm.
yeah, that's uh, implementing and certifying an ISO standard is always a strategic decision.
Okay. Now, there's always paperwork and little minutia that have to be done, chairing meetings and all that. Would you say that it's common for like an ops manager or a quality control person to kind of be in charge of that from just the day to day managing the ISO, or week to week, month to month managing their ISO system? Is that a common?
Yes, many companies actually have a couple of people
Hmm.
involved in managing these day to day. It's not paperwork, because
Yeah, yeah.
nowadays ISO standards are made in a very nice fashion that allows us to be less bureaucratic, if
Okay, that's
possible.
good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah, up until 2015, ISO 9001, for instance, was quite heavy to handle, but it changed several years ago, and it's actually a very light standard, making possible for organizations to be very flexible and to adapt to a very fast changing
Okay,
environment.
good.
So many organizations do assign responsibilities to a couple of three people, depending on the size, obviously.
Hmm.
And these responsibilities can be shared, can be exchanged, etc. Because again, everyone should be committed to the
Hmm.
management system.
Right. Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm worried about in this for the purposes of this discussion.
Mhm.
I'm more because I've seen and I've heard my clients talk about um, you know it, the think if if their ISO system is a symphony, who's conducting it, right? Who's doing that? And a lot of times that falls on someone's plate that doesn't have time for it, or they had a dedicated QC manager
Mhm.
and then that person left, and they
Mhm.
haven't been able to find a replacement because the job market here, there's I did a quick search just this morning. There are 75 openings within 25 miles of LAX airport for quality control managers, and nationwide in the United States, there's over 20,000 job openings for some type
Yeah.
of QC manager. That was on LinkedIn. And that's a lot of job openings. They're not all going to get filled right away because there aren't people out there to do that. So all of a sudden, an organization that used to rely on that QC manager to help kind of conduct their ISO system is missing that, and then they're missing out on the benefits of having it unless
Mhm.
everyone steps up. But there's another option, and that is to outsource some of that, or to hire a consultant to
Absolutely.
be
Yeah.
that conductor, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we come in. So we don't just implement ISO systems. Our assessors, auditors, whatever you want to call them, our consultants can go in and run your ISO system for you. Now,
Mhm.
back to what you said earlier, it's everyone's responsibility within the company to participate and make the success of their ISO system happen, of course, but you do need that conductor, right? So we can do that for you. Again, those QC managers, for example, the salaries ranged from about 80,000 to 120,000 a year. That's just the salary. Fully burdened, you're looking at 100 to 200,000 a year. Maybe you need that full-time quality control person. Maybe you don't. I'm not saying you should fire your existing one, but what if the ISO part of that job description, or whether that's falling on, the sales manager or the ops manager, whomever, what if that took a day or two a month? Again, we can do that for you. And I'm not saying one full day, another full day, a couple hours here, a couple hours there. Oh, geez.
That's a very interesting point, by the way. Mm-hmm. And we do it. It's quite common in Europe. We do it for our French, Spanish, and UK customers. Yeah, very good. And the other thing that we can do for our customers is train them with specialized trainings, which is a very nice way to get them involved, their people involved into the system, and make sure that if there is any shortage in experts, they actually have a possibility to keep it going on without further troubles. Because, Jay, there is something I'm not sure how aware of our 10 days might be. There is a worldwide shortage of experts, ISO experts, in quality management, but also cybersecurity and information security management, environmental management. So this is a huge gap. If you guys lose people who know how your systems work, you may not be able just to fill in their positions that easily.
Right. So hiring a consultant to run your ISO system doesn't just, I know it's not paperwork, we just discussed that, but doesn't just tick off those boxes, right? Yes, it helps. Imagine what the people that are doing that now in your organization, or maybe they aren't, could be doing with their time if you got one of our consultants in to, fill out the forms, chair the meetings.
Yeah.
But they're also, like you said, they're experts. So it's not just Joe from accounting chairing a meeting. You've got our expert cybersecurity implementer chairing your quarterly meeting or that annual risk look ahead meeting, which is a fantastic part of ISO. I think it forces people to look ahead and manage their risks 5 and 10 years down the road. So, for 1 or 2 days a month at $1,500 a day, you're looking at $18,000 to $36,000 a year cost. But then how much would you realize back with a fully functional and fully operational ISO system versus that $100,000 to $200,000 a year headcount addition that you have to have, right?
Quite a lot, Jay, basically because most of our assessors and consultants are multilingual. For instance, I chair meetings in Spain and Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
So we have customers who operate in 3 different countries. That's very important to take into account, because if you need a translator or an interpreter, the costs grow enormously and the complexity. So you would
triples the time, right? If there's 3 different languages, it triples the time of the meeting.
So you have an assessor capable of chairing a meeting in several languages and hopefully understanding what's going on.
Right. Plus, you get the benefit of their experience. You have access to their brain and their tribal knowledge, and then our assessors talk to each other all the time. So if something comes up and whoever is assigned to you doesn't have the answer, there's dozens of other people that they can pick up the phone and call that someone probably will. So you get the benefit of all that tribal knowledge that our company has, having done this for 30 plus years, and 15,000 different clients and 30,000 different certificates issued worldwide. That's a huge value to anyone that would hire our consultants to help them run their ISO system.
Absolutely, and we're nearly available nearly 24/7.
Mhm.
7 maybe not, but 24, close to 24. Basically, it's 6 p.m. in the UK, and I'm here with you.
Yep.
9 in LA or something
Yep.
like that. Yeah.
9:15.
So,
Yep.
yeah,
Just getting going.
if I have any doubts, I can actually call someone. Hi, Pamela, here she goes. If I have doubts, I can just call someone in the States and ask for their opinion. So you're
Mhm.
covered.
Great. Pamela, hi. Thanks. Glad you could make it. This is Pamela D'Amato, and she's one of our top people and also based here in Southern California. Pamela, we were just talking about our managed services, and I've gone over how much a QC person could cost and how much it would cost for someone to hire us instead, and the cost savings there. Why don't you give us some examples of ways in which some of your many clients could be realizing better value out of their ISO system? What are some of the challenges that they've had where they've said, we're glad we did it, but we wish we could do more? Oh, can't hear you.
So marvelous technology.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
You're
No,
muted.
sorry. Yeah, my watch goes, Siri on my watch thought I was talking to her, and now we oh, well.
It happens from
Okay.
time to time.
It does. Well, okay, we'll let Pamela get with that. Same question to you, Maria. What ways, what are some of the things that you've seen where a client wishes that they had been able to do better as far as running and managing their ISO system?
Well, here in Europe, public tenders are quite common. So companies sometimes start with the desire to bid for a tender.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
As
yeah.
you've said at the beginning, they need a paper. And we always explain that it is not about a paper. It's not going to work. They say, oh, no, we need it just for this.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple of weeks within the process, they do realize how important the system is. And back to this company operating in Spain and the Vietnam as well. They were not at the beginning very sure about why they did it. They work in a sector where ISO standards are not that common in Asia, and were doubtful about how important that would be. And after 3.5 months, so the CEO told me that she was already seeing the results and the customers' confidence
Mm-hmm.
because they were the first in the market share to get it, and they were seeing the benefits and were happy, and they're even not yet certified. Their certification will be in maybe 3 weeks, something like that. So before getting certified, they were already seeing benefits, customers' confidence, and better structure, let's say raw material reception, because they had some issues with the providers, with the suppliers. So we went through all the procedures and made some recommendations, discussed with them, and they're now very happy. So it can be everything from bidding for a tender to just raising, elevating your image. Trust is built in ISO standards.
Okay, great. Pamela, how's it? Can we hear you now? Nope. No, sorry. Might be your laptop's speaker. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
let's see, what other things that did I want to discuss here? So I think we've come down to this. We put some good examples out there. We've mentioned the the cost savings of having a dedicated headcount, and using us instead of having a dedicated headcount. Again, I've often with my clients referenced a study. I think it was from North Carolina State quite a while back, but you can find that on ISO.org's website. That a manufacturing company, granted, not all our clients are manufacturing companies, but many of them are, can expect to see a 3% reduction in costs when implementing ISO 9001. Right? That's your mileage may vary, but if you're not seeing that and you are a manufacturing company, you need to ask yourself why. And it's quite possibly because you're not running it as efficiently as you can. So just imagine that. I said 2 days a month would cost $36,000 a year. What is that cost line on your financials? Take 3% of that, and I bet that number is a lot bigger than $36,000, right? So that's just
Absolutely.
one way that a company can realize value and really get an ROI on bringing in our consultants for managed services. Like, it really takes your ISO to the next level.
Yeah, indeed. And many of the standards actually help organizations identify the legal requirements, so they reduce effectively the risks of getting fined for the lack of legal compliance. That should be added to the 3% you mentioned.
Yeah.
And Pamela's gone, but she'll be hopefully back.
Yeah, we're going to try. We're going to wrap this up pretty soon anyway, I think.
Yeah.
I just want to leave you with one more anecdote. So before I was with IMSM, I worked for a manufacturing company in Long Beach here in Southern California that makes PPE. They've been very busy the last couple of years. They do N95 masks and respirators and gloves and all of that. So they're doing just fine. They are still an ISO 9001 certified company, and we're very proud of that. It was great as a sales guy for me. It was great to have that on our business card, and we had a quality control manager that was in charge of making sure that we maintained our ISO certification. And every year it was a scramble to make sure that everyone understood their part in the process, and which is not the right way. Everyone should know it all the time. But anyway, we liked it. My boss, who's the president of the company, was very proud of it. And then I saw him at a trade show a couple of years ago now that I was with IMSM, and told him what I do now. And he was so happy for me. And the first words out of his mouth were, ISO is the right way to do business. And then a little while later, when we were launching this program, the managed services program, I called him up and asked him to tell me what he thought of it. And I knew he would give me a straight answer. And they have to have a full-time QC person because they're testing respirators. But he goes, 10 years ago, I would have jumped all over this, especially if you can guarantee that we pass our certification every year. Now, we don't guarantee that. We guarantee our work. So, if the auditor goes in and talks to the guy in the warehouse and says, what's your part in the ISO process? And he goes, I don't know. We can't. That's not our fault. That's right. But the work and the forms and the documentation and the training and the onboarding of new people and all those things that go into maintaining your ISO system and getting the value out of it, we do. So, take it from him. He says, I would have jumped all over this as a smaller company, of 20 to 30 employees versus what they are now, much larger. But that's the best referral I can give for this. Pamela, are you back on? Or still can't hear you?
No.
Sorry. No.
Well, that's
any last words then, Maria?
Just one thing, and this is linked to Pamela's troubles today. We'll be live on a regular basis. So next time, maybe, Jay, you would like to let Pamela host the session.
Yes, of course.
And we'll make sure we can hear her.
Yeah.
So, to wrap it up, People think when we talk about quality management mainly that we refer to the final service or product as quality. We don't. Quality management is quality of operations, how we work, not we do. Because what we do, if we've arrived and achieved 2022 already, we have done something right. The product's good, the service good. Now we target our internal operations and aim to improve what we do and how we do it.
Okay. Love it. All right. Well, thank you very much. Sorry, Pamela. She really does have a lovely voice. We'll get to hear it on the next one. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know how to contact us if you have questions. I'd love to hear them. Love to hear feedback. Have a great week.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye.
Marketing, can you now?